This is the positioning of a patient for a swimmer's lateral using the Yochum and row method. It's very similar to the Marchiori with some subtle differences that you'll need to know for national boards. So we're going to leave all the other steps the same as they would have been for the Marchiori. And I'm going to have you step in to the point that we would be positioning the patient herself for this particular version of the image. So for a Yochum and row version, you want to make sure that the patient's fingers and thumb are together, and you're going to ask them to place the palm of the hand up against the occiput. It's important that you don't get the fingers down into the cervical spine, okay? So you're going to keep the hand up, and this brings the elbow up and the shoulder back, okay? So before I do this with you, I want to ask you, do you have any problems with your shoulder, elbow, wrist? Can you go into this position comfortably?
I can.
Okay, so the hand that is closest to the board, I'd like you to go ahead and cup the fingers and bring the palm up at your occiput. Okay. The hand that's closest to the tube, the patient is going to hold in the back of her hip around the SI joint, okay? And what that does is that positions the humeral head that's closest to the tube posterior to her spine, and the humeral head that's closest to the bucky anterior to her spine. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to have the patient turn at about 45 degrees towards me, if you would. Okay. Great. We're going to have her step up against the bucky until the back of her arm is against the bucky, and the shoulder blade will also touch as well. Okay. So next thing we need to do is position the beam so that it is at the midclavicular line. So again, that's down low into the neck at the C7T1 level. So if we have to raise or lower our tube to see where our beam is, we're going to go ahead and get that horizontal beam through the midclavicular line. Also making sure that once the beam is on the correct anatomy point at the midclavicular line, we may have to raise or lower our bucky a little bit to get that horizontal pinstripe to superimpose over the horizontal beam from the tube. Okay, so once that's set, we need to check the vertical crosshair, and again, it needs to be down the mid-coronal plane of the patient's neck. So we may have to have her step forward or back a little bit. I'm going to brace my foot across the back of your heels, and I want you to just scoot your feet back about an inch until you feel my shoe there, okay? Slide both heels back just a touch, okay? Okay, go back just a little bit farther, both feet if you can. Great. All right, now that vertical crosshair is down through the mid-coronal plane of the neck. Okay. And collimation is still into a 10 by 12 field. There is no tube angle, so it's still coming in 90 degrees to the patient. If we thought we couldn't get enough separation between the humeral heads, you can tilt your tube at 5 degrees caudal, and that will create more separation between the humeral heads. It's not a requirement for this image, but it's an option that national boards might ask you about. They would say on a swimmer's lateral, what would be your tube position in relation to your bucky? The answer is 90 degrees. They could say what would be an optional tube angle, and that would be a 5 degree caudal beam. Okay. They're going to ask you what would be the reasoning, and that's to get separation between the humeral heads so that you can see C7T1. But that's not a requirement. If you feel like you can get enough separation, we can leave her with a 90 degree beam. Okay. The other thing that they may ask is what is the rotation position of the patient's body in relation to the bucky on this image. And I know that the patient physically looks like she's about 45 degrees rotated in relation to the bucky, but the answer is that the patient's spine is at a 10 degree rotation in relation to the bucky. Okay, so those are two things that you need to understand. The rest of the imaging is the same, so the patient would take a breath and let it all the way out, hold it out, and we would make the exposure. The ending of the steps would be the same as that of the Marchiori.